I was cheated, locked out in a blizzard while my wife and her family laughed through the window. The snow was up to my knees, thick and heavy, clinging to my boots like it wanted to drag me down into the earth. I had just finished a brutal late-night shift at the warehouse, my fingers numb from stacking boxes in the freezing loading bay, my back aching from hours of bending and lifting. The blizzard was the worst we'd had in 10 years, roads closed, power flickering, the kind of storm that made you wonder if the world was ending. All I wanted was to get home, kick off my soggy boots and collapse into bed next to Myra, my wife of 6 years. I'd been dreaming about the warmth of our little house the whole drive back, windshield wipers slapping against the ice, the heater barely keeping me from shivering. But when I got there, everything changed. I stepped out of the truck, the wind biting at my face, and trudged up to the front door. My key wouldn't turn. I jiggled it, thinking it was frozen, but then I saw the deadbolt was locked from the inside. That's when I looked up and saw Myra through the living room window, smirking like she'd just won something. She wasn't alone. Her brother Zane was there, holding up a beer, his loud voice cutting through the glass. "Freeze to death. Useless idiot." Myra laughed, sharp and mean, and slapped his hand in a high five. Behind them, her parents, Gordon and Beth, stood watching, their grins wide and smug, like I was some kind of joke they'd all planned. My breath puffed out in shallow clouds, the cold sinking deeper into my bones. But it wasn't the weather breaking me. It was them, my own family, the people I'd built a life with, locking me out and laughing about it. I stood there staring, my hands shaking, not just from the chill but from the hurt twisting in my chest. I could have shouted, I could have banged on the door until my fist bled. But what would that get me? More laughs? More insults? No. I turned around, the snow crunching under my boots, and walked to the backyard where Mark, our golden retriever, was huddled by the shed. His big brown eyes looked up at me, confused but trusting, his tail wagging slowly like he knew something was wrong. I unhooked his leash from the post, grabbed his blanket from the porch, and started walking. The wind howled, stinging my eyes, but I didn't look back. Not once. My house, our house, was behind me, glowing warm and bright, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. It hadn't for a while, I realized, maybe not ever. Mark pressed close to my leg as we moved through the storm, his fur dusted with snow. I kept my head down, focusing on each step. I didn't know where I was going yet, just away. Away from the smirks, the beer, the betrayal. My breath was ragged, my lungs burning from the icy air, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. Every time I blinked, I saw Myra's face, that laugh echoing in my head, and it pushed me forward. She didn't even come to the door, didn't call out, didn't care. And Zane. God, I'd always known he was a jerk, but this was next level. Her parents too, standing there like it was some family game night, cheering her on while I froze. I'd spent years trying to fit into their world, working extra shifts to keep up with their expectations, biting my tongue when they made their little digs about my job, my truck, my simple life. And for what? To be left out here like trash? Mark whimpered beside me, and I reached down to scratch his ears, my gloves stiff with frost. "It's okay, buddy," I muttered, though my voice cracked. "We're done here." The snow kept falling, thicker now, blanketing the street in white, and I felt like I was disappearing with it. Maybe that's what they wanted, Myra, Zane, all of them, to erase me. But I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me beg. I tightened my grip on Mark's leash and kept walking, the cold wrapping around me like a second skin. My mind spun with questions I didn't have answers to. Why'd she do it? When did she stop caring? How long had they been planning this? I didn't know. All I knew was the ache in my chest and the dog at my side. We passed the corner store, its lights dimmed through the storm, and I thought about the life I'd built, the one I thought we'd built together. 6 years of dinners, vacations, late-night talks. Was it all fake? My legs were heavy, my jeans soaked through, but I didn't stop. Mark stayed with me, loyal as ever, and that was enough for now. The house faded into the distance, swallowed by the blizzard, and with it went the man I'd been, the one who'd let this happen. I wasn't sure who I'd be tomorrow, but I knew one thing: I wasn't going back. Not to them, not to that. The snow stung my face, but I welcomed it. It was honest, at least. Cold, brutal, but honest. And right then, that's all I needed. Me and Mark, we'd figure it out, one step at a time. The snow didn't let up as I trudged through the streets, Mark trotting beside me, his paws leaving little prints in the white mess. My boots were soaked, my toes numb, and every breath felt like swallowing glass. But I couldn't stop moving. Not yet. The house was behind me now, out of sight, and with every step it felt more like a memory I didn't want to keep. I didn't have a plan, just this burning need to get away, to put distance between me and Myra's smirk, Zane's laugh, her parents' smug faces. The wind howled, pushing against me, but I leaned into it, my hands stuffed deep in my pockets, Mark's leash looped around my wrist. I didn't know where we were going until I saw the faint glow of neon ahead, Lou's Diner, a 24-hour joint I'd passed 100 times but never stopped at. It looked warm, alive, the kind of place that didn't care who you were as long as you didn't make trouble. I pushed the door open, a bell jingling above me, and stepped inside, Mark shaking snow off his fur at my feet. The heat hit me first, thawing my face, making my nose run. The place smelled like coffee and grease, and the hum of a jukebox played some old country song I didn't recognize. A waitress, Rosie, her name tag said, looked up from wiping the counter. She had tired eyes but a soft smile, like she'd seen guys like me before. "Rough night?" she asked, glancing at Mark. I nodded, my throat too tight to talk yet. "Sit anywhere," she said. "Dog's fine as long as he behaves." I slid into a booth by the window, Mark curling up under the table, his wet fur brushing my leg. Rosie brought me a coffee without asking, black and steaming, and set it down with a quiet, "On the house." I mumbled thanks, wrapping my hands around the mug, letting the warmth seep into my fingers. I didn't have much cash, just a crumpled 10 in my wallet, but she didn't seem to care. She let me sit there, sipping slowly, staring out at the storm as it raged on. Hours passed, I think. I lost track. My mind kept replaying that moment at the window. Myra's laugh, Zane's voice, the way they all just watched me freeze. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. I'd given her everything, my time, my money, my trust, and she'd thrown it back in my face like it was nothing. Mark nudged my knee, and I scratched his head, grateful for him. He didn't judge, didn't laugh, he just stayed. Around 3 in the morning, I pulled out my phone, battery at 8%, and called Leo. He's my oldest friend, the kind of guy who'd drop anything if you needed him. His voice was groggy when he answered. "Dude, you okay?" "It's late." I told him everything, my words spilling out fast, the shift, the snow, the lockout, the laughter. He didn't interrupt, just listened. "Stay there," he said when I finished. "I'm coming." 20 minutes later, his beat-up Ford rolled into the lot, headlights cutting through the blizzard. I paid Rosie with my 10, thanked her again, and climbed in with Mark. Leo didn't ask a million questions, just drove, the heater blasting, the silence comfortable. His place was small, a one-bedroom apartment with a couch that sagged in the middle, but it felt safer than my own house ever had. He tossed me a blanket and a pillow, said, "Crash here as long as you need." I thanked him, my voice rough, and he just nodded like it was nothing. For 2 days I went ghost. No social media, no texts, no calls. My phone died that first night, and I didn't bother charging it. It was a relief, honestly, cutting off the world, letting it spin without me. Mark stayed close, sleeping at my feet, and Leo kept me fed with takeout and bad jokes. I didn't talk much, just sat there thinking about Myra, about how I'd missed the signs, the way she'd started pulling away, spending more time with her family, brushing me off when I asked what was wrong. I thought it was stress, maybe me working too much, but now it felt like a setup. On the 3rd day, I plugged my phone in, watched it buzz to life. 49 messages. I scrolled through them slowly, my stomach twisting. The first ones were from Myra, angry, sharp, "Where are you? You're being dramatic. Stop acting like a kid." Then Zane, "Man up, loser." Even Beth chimed in, "You're embarrassing yourself." But as I kept going, they changed. Myra's tone shifted, desperate now. "Please come home. I'm sorry, okay? Just tell me you're safe." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to type back, to unload everything, how she'd gutted me, how they all had. But what would that do? They'd twist it, make me the bad guy again. No. I set the phone down, let it buzz with a few more texts I didn't read. Leo walked in, handed me a beer. "You good?" he asked. I shrugged. Getting there. He didn't push. That night, I lay on his couch, Mark snoring beside me, the storm finally quiet outside. Those messages kept running through my head, angry, then begging. They wanted me back, but not because they cared. They wanted the old me, the guy who'd take it, who'd come running when they snapped their fingers. That guy? He was gone. I wasn't sure who I was now, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back to that house, that life, not after what they'd done. I took a sip of the beer, cold and bitter, and closed my eyes. Tomorrow, I'd figure out the next step. For now, I just needed to breathe. Me and Mark, we'd be okay. We had to be. I woke up on Leo's couch with a crick in my neck and Mark's big head resting on my chest, his warm breath puffing against my shirt. The apartment smelled like coffee. Leo was already up, clattering around in the kitchen, probably burning toast again. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, weak and pale, the storm finally over. My phone sat on the coffee table, still buzzing every few minutes with texts I didn't want to read. I rubbed my eyes, trying to shake off the fog in my head. Yesterday felt like a bad dream. Myra locking me out, her family laughing, me walking away with nothing but my dog and a dead phone. But it wasn't a dream, it was real, and now I had to figure out what came next. Leo poked his head in, holding a mug. "You look like crap," he said, grinning. "Coffee?" I nodded, sitting up slowly, Mark sliding off me with a lazy groan. "Thanks, man, for everything." He waved it off, handing me the mug. "You do the same. What's the plan today?" I didn't have one, not really, but I knew I couldn't just sit here forever. "Need to get my stuff together," I said. "Clothes, phone, some cash. Can't keep borrowing your socks." Leo laughed. "They're yours as long as you need 'em. But yeah, let's get you sorted." He lent me a pair of jeans and a hoodie, both a little tight but better than my snow-soaked stuff from the night before. We drove to a cheap phone store first, Mark waiting in the truck, his nose pressed to the window. I got a basic model, nothing fancy, just enough to keep in touch and start rebuilding. I kept my old phone though, its cracked screen and dead battery tucked in my pocket. Something told me I'd need it later, proof of what happened that night. Back at Leo's, I powered it up, ignoring the flood of messages, and checked our joint bank account instead. My stomach dropped. It was almost empty, $19,342. Gone. Siphoned off in small chunks over months. Transfers I didn't recognize, all to an account with a number I'd never seen. Myra's name was on every one. My hands shook as I scrolled through the history. $1,200 here, $500 there, little bites adding up to a fortune. I'd been working overtime, skipping lunches to save cash, and she'd been bleeding me dry. For what? Beers with Zane? Her parents' fancy dinners? I wanted to smash something, but I just sat there staring, my jaw tight. Leo leaned over. "What's up?" I showed him. He whistled low. "That's messed up, man. You gotta lock that down." He was right. I called the bank, put a freeze on the account, my voice steady even though I felt like yelling. Then I drove to the branch where we kept our safety deposit box. Mark staying in the truck again, chewing on an old rope toy Leo had found. Inside, I pulled out everything. Our marriage certificate, my passport, the deed to the house, tax records. I stuffed them in a folder, my hands moving fast, like I was racing against something I couldn't see. The clerk watched me, her eyebrows raised, but I didn't explain. I didn't owe anyone that. Next stop was work. I called Harper from HR on the new phone, told her I needed a few days off. She didn't pry, just said, "Take care of yourself." Her voice kind but firm. I liked Harper. She'd always been straight with me. Then I tracked down Jillian, a financial advisor my boss had mentioned once. She worked out of a little office downtown, all glass and plants. I walked in, still in Leo's hoodie, Mark's leash in my pocket, and laid it out. My wife draining our account, me locked out, no idea what came next. Jillian listened, her pen tapping her notepad, then said, "First, protect what's yours. New account, Solo. Move your direct deposit. Then we figure out the rest." She didn't sugarcoat it, and I liked that. I opened a new account right there, transferred the last $200 from the joint one before Myra could touch it. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Driving back to Leo's, I felt a little lighter, like I was taking control piece by piece. The old phone buzzed again in my pocket, and I pulled it out, glancing at the screen. More texts from Myra. "Where's the money? You can't do this. Talk to me." I almost laughed. She thought I was the one who owed answers? No way. I turned it off, shoved it in the glove box. Leo was waiting when I got back. Pizza on the table, Mark wagging his tail like it was a party. "You good?" Leo asked, sliding me a slice. "Better," I said, and I meant it. That night I sat on the couch, Mark sprawled across my lap, and thought about what Jillian said. Protect what's yours. I'd been a fool, letting Myra and her family walk all over me. But not anymore. I dug through the folder from the safety deposit box, reading every line of the house deed. My name was on it, not hers. She'd never chipped in, just complained about the mortgage. That was something. Leverage, maybe. I wasn't sure what I'd do with it yet, but it felt good to have options. The pizza went cold as I kept digging, piecing together the last few years, Myra's late nights with friends, her sudden shopping sprees, the way she'd snap if I asked about money. It had been there, right in front of me, and I'd ignored it, too tired, too trusting. But now my eyes were open. I scratched Mark's ears, his soft fur grounding me. "We're done playing the fool, buddy," I said. He licked my hand, and I smiled. A real one. Small but there. Tomorrow, I'd start pushing back. I didn't know how yet, but I'd figure it out. For now, I had a roof, a friend, a dog, and a little cash in my name. It wasn't much, but it was a start, and this time, I wasn't letting anyone take it away. I woke up early, the couch spring digging into my back, Mark's snores filling the quiet of Leo's apartment. My new phone sat on the coffee table, its screen dark, a fresh start I could control. The old one was still in the truck's glove box, buzzing with Myra's desperation, but I wasn't ready to face that yet. Today, I had a plan, simple, direct, no games. I needed answers, and I needed them from her. I grabbed the phone, typed fast, "We need to talk. Starbucks, tomorrow at noon. Come alone." I hit send before I could overthink it, then tossed it aside. Leo shuffled in, hair a mess, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You texting her?" he asked, handing me one. "Yeah," I said, taking a sip, the heat waking me up. "Meeting tomorrow. Gotta sort this mess." He nodded, leaning against the wall. "You sure you're ready?" I wasn't, not really, but I couldn't keep hiding. "Gotta be," I said. He didn't push, just grabbed his keys. "Come on, let's get you cleaned up. Can't face her looking like a bum." We spent the day getting me ready. A new shirt from a thrift store, a quick haircut at a barber down the street. Mark tagged along, his tail wagging like it was an adventure. By night, I felt more like me, not the guy who'd frozen outside his own house, but someone who could stand tall. I barely slept, though, my mind racing with what I'd say, how she'd twist it. Morning came fast, and at 11:45 I pulled into the Starbucks lot, Mark in the back seat, my old phone charged and ready in my pocket. I walked in, ordered a black coffee, and took a corner table, my hand steady even if my gut wasn't. Noon hit, and the door swung open. There she was, Myra, but not alone. Zane swaggered in behind her, Gordon and Beth trailing like a pack. My jaw tightened. I'd said alone, and she brought the whole circus. They spotted me, Myra leading the charge, her face a mix of nerves and defiance. She slid into the chair across from me, the others crowding around like bodyguards. "Hey," she said, her voice too casual. "You wanted to talk." I didn't smile, didn't play nice. I leaned forward, looked her dead in the eyes. "Where's the money?" Her mouth opened, then closed, her fingers twisting the edge of her scarf. "What money?" she said, but it was weak, a lie I could smell from across the table. I pulled the bank statements from my jacket, printouts I'd grabbed from Jillian's office, each transfer circled in red. I slid them over, slow, deliberate. "This money. 9 grand. Where'd it go?" Zane snorted, leaning on the table. "You're paranoid, man. She didn't—" I cut him off, my voice low but sharp. "I'm not talking to you." Myra's eyes darted to the papers, then back to me. It's not what you think. I was just helping." "Helping who?" I pressed, not letting her squirm out. "Zane? Your parents? Because it sure wasn't us." Gordon stepped in, his voice booming like he owned the place. "Now listen, son. You don't get to accuse—" "I'm not your son," I said, staring him down. "And I've got proof." I pulled out the old phone, the one I'd kept for this exact moment. I'd recorded that night, shaky video through the snow, Zane's voice clear as day, "Freeze to death, useless idiot." Myra's laugh, sharp and cruel, ringing out, their faces lit by the warm glow of my house, grinning while I stood in the cold. I hit play, turned the volume up, let it fill the space. People at nearby tables glanced over, curious. Myra's face went pale. Zane's smirk faded. Beth's hand flew to her mouth. Gordon just glared, but I didn't flinch. The video ended, and I set the phone down, my eyes locked on Myra. "Return the money in 48 hours, I said, calm but firm. "Move out in 7 days. Start therapy if you want any chance of this surviving." Beth scoffed, loud and dramatic. "You're ridiculous, threatening us." I leaned in close, my voice a whisper just for Myra. "I'm not bluffing." She stared at me, her eyes wide, like she was seeing me for the first time. Zane muttered something under his breath, but I didn't care. I stood up, grabbed my coffee, and walked out, leaving the statements on the table. Mark greeted me at the truck, his tail thumping against the seat, and I climbed in, my heart pounding but steady. I'd said what I needed to, laid it all out. No yelling, no begging, just facts and a line in the sand. Driving back to Leo's, I replayed it in my head, Myra's excuses crumbling, the way they tried to gang up on me and failed. That video, it was my ace, proof they couldn't deny. I'd caught them off guard, flipped the script. For once, I wasn't the one scrambling. Leo was waiting when I got back, tossing a tennis ball for Mark in the living room. "How'd it go?" he asked. I grinned. "Good." Laid it out, gave her terms. He laughed. "She bring the clowns?" "Yeah, didn't matter. I told him everything, the statements, the video, their faces when it played." He shook his head, still laughing. "You're a badass, man. They didn't see that coming." I smirked, maybe for the first time in days. It felt good, taking control, not just reacting. The old me would have folded, let them talk me down, but not now. I checked my new phone, no texts yet. She had 48 hours, and I meant it. If she didn't pay up, I'd call Jillian, see what legal steps came next. The house was mine, the deed proved it. She could fight, but I had evidence. Money trails, that video. I wasn't scared anymore. Mark flopped beside me, his head in my lap, and I scratched his ears, the tension easing out of me. Tomorrow I'd wait, see if she followed through. For now I had this moment. Me, my dog, my friend, and a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that was enough. I woke up the next morning to the sound of my new phone buzzing on the coffee table, Mark's tail thumping against my leg as he stretched out on Leo's couch. The sun was barely up, a thin gray light sneaking through the blinds, and I rubbed my face trying to shake off the restless sleep. Yesterday at Starbucks kept replaying in my head Myra's pale face, Zane's muttered curses, the way I'd walked out with my head high. I'd given her 48 hours to return the money, 7 days to move out, and I meant every word. I grabbed the phone, expecting more excuses, but it was just one text from her, money's back. We'll be out by Friday. Short, no fight, no drama. I checked the bank app. Sure enough, $934 sat there, transferred overnight. My chest loosened a little, like I could breathe easier, but I wasn't celebrating yet. With her, there was always a catch. Leo stumbled out of his room, yawning, his hair sticking up like he'd lost a fight with his pillow. She pay up? He asked, grabbing a soda from the fridge. Yeah, I said, showing him the screen. And they're leaving by Friday. He raised an eyebrow. That was fast. You think she's serious? I shrugged. We'll see. Gotta check the house today. He nodded, popping the can open. I'll come with. Make sure they don't pull anything. An hour later, we were in his truck. Mark sprawled in the back, the road still patchy with snow but clear enough to drive. My stomach twisted as we pulled up to the house. Our house, my house now. The curtains were drawn, no cars in the drive. I grabbed my keys, the ones that hadn't worked that night, and hesitated. What if they'd changed the locks again? But the deadbolt clicked open, and I stepped inside, Leo behind me, Mark sniffing the air like he was on a mission. It didn't look trashed, not like I'd feared, no broken glass, no holes in the walls, but it wasn't right either. My recliner, the one I'd saved up for, the one I loved, was shoved into a corner by the garage door, covered with a pile of old blankets. The living room shelves were bare, all our wedding photos gone, frames probably tossed or packed. The TV was still there, but the Xbox was unplugged, cords tangled like someone had yanked them out fast. I walked to the bedroom, my boots loud on the hardwood, and saw my clothes still in the closet, but her side was empty, hangers swinging, a few stray socks left behind. Leo poked around the kitchen, whistling low. They rearranged everything, man. Your coffee mugs are in the pantry now. I checked the office next. My gaming PC was still on the desk, but when I booted it up, my heart sank. Every save file, hours of progress in games I'd played to unwind after long shifts, deleted. Blank, like I'd never been there. I clenched my fists, breathing slowly, keeping the anger down. They hadn't just left, they'd erased me, piece by piece. Then I found it, taped to the fridge, a handwritten bill from Myra, 2 pages long, itemizing every dime she claimed she'd spent on us over the years. Groceries from 2019, gas for a trip in 2021, even emotional support with dollar signs next to it, like I owed her for putting up with me. It was ridiculous, petty, a final jab to twist the knife. Leo read it over my shoulder, laughing so hard he nearly choked. Emotional support? She's nuts. I didn't laugh. It stung, sure, but it also lit something in me. I grabbed my phone, snapped a photo of the letter, and posted it to my story. No caption, just the raw image. Let people see who she really was. Within minutes, comments rolled in. Friends, co-workers, even my cousin in Ohio, she's delusional. You're better off, bro. What a clown show. Savage. Everyone. And it felt good, like a crowd cheering me on. I texted Myra, meet me tomorrow at Willow Park, alone this time. No reply came, but I didn't care. She'd see it. Leo and I spent the day reclaiming the place, moving my recliner back to the living room, plugging in the Xbox, stacking her bill in a drawer for later. Maybe for a lawyer if it came to that. Mark sniffed every corner, reclaiming his spot by the couch, his tail wagging like he approved. The house still felt off, echoes of her everywhere, but it was mine again, and that was a start. Driving back to Leo's that night, I kept thinking about the money back in the account, sure, but it didn't erase what she'd done. $9 grand stolen, slow, a betrayal stretched over months, and the house, rearranged like I was a guest they'd kicked out. It wasn't just spite, it was a message. You don't matter. But I did. I mattered to me now, and that's what kept me going. At Leo's, we ordered pizza, cracked open a couple of beers, Mark begging for crust with those big eyes. You're winning, man, Leo said, clinking his bottle against mine. They're scrambling, and you're solid. I nodded, sipping slowly. Feels like it, but tomorrow's the real test. He tilted his head. The park? Yeah. Gotta hear her out, see if she's got anything left to say. He smirked. You're too nice, you know that? Maybe. But I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for me, to close this chapter clean. That night, I lay on the couch, Mark curled up close. the house running through my mind, the recliner back where it belonged, the empty shelves, her stupid bill. It wasn't about the stuff. It was about what it meant. She'd tried to rewrite our life, make me the villain. But I wasn't playing that role anymore. The comments on my story kept popping up, little bursts of support from people who'd seen enough. I didn't need her apology, didn't need her tears. I just needed to face her one more time, say what I had to, and walk away for good. Tomorrow, Willow Park, alone. She'd better show up. I got to Willow Park early, the morning air crisp and sharp, the kind that bites your lungs a little when you breathe too deep. Mark stayed with Leo this time. I needed to do this alone, no distractions, just me and whatever Myra had left to say. The park was quiet, a few joggers huffing along the trails, their breath puffing out in white clouds, but the bench I picked was off the path, surrounded by bare trees and a frozen pond. I sat down, my hands in my pockets, the cold wood creaking under me. My new phone stayed silent, no texts, no calls. I'd told her to meet me here alone, and part of me wondered if she'd show up at all. Yesterday's win, the money back, the house mine again, felt solid, but this was different. This was the end, or at least I wanted it to be. At 10:02 I saw her, black coat, scarf wrapped tight, walking slowly, like she wasn't sure she wanted to be here. No Zane, no Gordon, no Beth, just her. She stopped a few feet away, her eyes red, her face softer than I'd seen in months. "Hey," she said, her voice small. I nodded, didn't stand, didn't smile. "Sit." She did, keeping space between us, her hands twisting in her lap. Before I could say a word, she started crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears spilling down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she said, choking it out. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I watched her, my jaw tight, waiting. Sorry was just a word, I needed more. She wiped her face, took a shaky breath. It was Zane's idea. He said it'd be funny, a loyalty test or something. Lock you out, see if you'd fight to come back. I didn't think you'd stay out all night. I didn't think you'd leave. I stared at her, the words sinking in slow, like mud settling in a puddle. A test, that's what she called it. You laughed, I said, my voice low, steady. I saw you, heard you. Zane told me to freeze to death, and you high-fived him. Her head dropped, her shoulders shaking. I know how it looked. I was stupid, caught up in it. They egged me on, Zane, Mom, Dad. It felt like a game until it wasn't. I leaned back, the bench cold against my spine. A game. You locked me out in a blizzard, Myra. I worked a double shift, came home dead on my feet, and you turned it into a game. She flinched, like I'd hit her, but I didn't stop. You stole $9 grand, months of my pay, gone. Was that a game too? She shook her head fast. No, that was... I needed it for them. Dad's business was tanking. Zane kept asking for loans. I thought I could fix it, pay you back before you noticed. I laughed, sharp and bitter, couldn't help it. Pay me back with what, my money? Her tears kept coming, but I wasn't softening, not this time. She looked up, her eyes pleading. I messed up. I see that now. I never wanted to lose you. That's when she said it. The thing that cut deeper than the cold ever had. I picked you because you were easy to manage. You never said no when I cried. I thought I could keep you under control. My chest tightened, a hot spike of hurt and anger twisting inside me. Easy to manage. That's what I'd been to her. A pushover, a tool, someone she could play with tears and guilt. 6 years, and that's what she saw. I leaned forward, my elbows on my knees, staring at the ground, letting it sink in. You thought wrong, I said finally, my voice quiet but hard. I'm not your puppet anymore. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back, stood up slow. I want a divorce. The words came out clean, no hesitation, and they felt right, like shedding a weight I'd carried too long. Her face crumpled, more tears, but she didn't argue, didn't scream. Okay, she whispered. Can we talk again later? I looked at her, really looked. Her messy hair, her wet cheeks, the woman I'd loved once. Maybe, I said, but I didn't mean it. Take care of yourself, Myra. I turned and walked away, my boots crunching on the frost-covered grass, the park stretching out wide and empty around me. My breath puffed out in front of me, steady now, no more shaking. Her words echoed in my head, easy to manage, never said no. They stung, sure, but they also lit a fire. I'd been that guy, soft, trusting, letting her and her family walk all over me. Not anymore. I got back to Leo's truck, climbed in and sat there a minute, hands on the wheel, staring at the dashboard. Mark wasn't there, but I could picture him, loyal, steady, waiting for me. Like Leo, like the life I was building now. Myra's cry for another talk lingered, but I shoved it aside. She'd had her chance, years of chances, and she'd blown it. That loyalty test wasn't just a prank, it was the truth coming out. She didn't love me, not the way I'd loved her. She loved controlling me, and when I stopped bending, she didn't know what to do. Driving back, the road felt clearer, like the snow had melted off more than just the pavement. I didn't need her tears, didn't need her excuses. Divorce wasn't just an end, it was a start. I'd call Jillian tomorrow, get the papers moving, make it real. The house was mine, the money was back, and I had people in my corner. Leo, Mark, even the folks online tearing into her stupid bill. I pulled into Leo's lot, the engine ticking as it cooled, and let out a long breath. The park faded behind me, Myra's voice with it. I wasn't mad anymore, not like before. I was done with her games, her family, her lies. I grabbed my phone, texted Leo, "It's over, divorce is on." He replied fast, "Good call." "Pizza tonight?" I smiled, small but real. "Yeah, bring Mark." I stepped out, the air cold but not biting, and headed inside. The old me, the one she'd managed, was gone, left on that bench with her tears. This me? He was just getting started. I woke up on Leo's couch with Mark sprawled across my legs, his snores rumbling through the quiet morning. The park meeting with Myra still hung in my head, her tears, her confession, that easy-to-manage line cutting deeper than I'd let on. Divorce was the right call, no doubt about it, but it left me restless, like I needed to do more than just walk away. I grabbed my coffee, Leo had left a pot brewing before heading to work, and sat there, staring at the steam curling up, my mind spinning. She'd chosen me because I was weak to her, a pushover she could steer. And her family? They cheered her on, used me up, tossed me out. I wasn't just done with her, I was done with all of them. That's when I thought of Cora, Myra's aunt, the black sheep who'd been shoved out years ago. I'd met her once at a barbecue, quiet but sharp, the kind of woman who didn't take crap. Myra's parents had cut her off after some blowout nobody talked about, but I remembered her saying, "They'll bleed you dry if you let them." She'd seen it coming. I found her number in an old text thread. "Happy birthday from 2 years back," short and simple. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I hid it, holding my breath as it rang. She picked up on the third, her voice rough but warm. "Well, hell, if it isn't the husband. What's up?" I didn't waste time. "Hey, Cora, it's a mess." Myra locked me out, stole money, laughed about it with Zane and the rest. "I'm divorcing her. Need to talk." She didn't gasp or fuss, just a low, "Huh, took you long enough. Where you at?" I gave her Leo's address, and she said, "Be there in an hour. Bring coffee." True to her word, she rolled up in a beat-up Subaru, gray hair pulled back, a flannel shirt hanging loose over jeans. I met her outside with Mark, a mug in hand, and she took it with a nod. "Dog's cute," she said, scratching his ears. "Let's walk." We headed down the block, Mark sniffing every bush, the cold air keeping me sharp. I told her everything, the blizzard night, the money, the Starbucks showdown, the park. She listened, sipping her coffee, her face hard but not surprised. When I finished, she stopped, turned to me. "They did the same to me, used me up, then dumped me when I called it out. Gordon's a leech. Beth's his cheerleader. Zane's a spoiled punk. Myra, she's their puppet till she's not." I nodded, the pieces clicking. She said it was a loyalty test. Said she picked me because I was easy to manage. Cora snorted, a rough laugh. "Loyalty test, my ass. They test you till you break, and blame you for it." I lent Gordon cash for his business. Never saw it back. Zane crashed my car, laughed it off. Beth told me I was selfish for asking them to pay up. Myra was a kid then, but she learned fast. We kept walking, the street quiet, Mark tugging at the leash. Cora's stories piled up, cousins cheated out of inheritance, friends ghosted after loans, a whole family built on taking. "They're a machine," she said. "Suck you dry, then act like you're the problem." I kicked a rock, watching it skitter across the pavement. "I'm done being their fuel." She grinned, her eyes glinting. "Good. Let's hit 'em harder. Crash their family dinner." I stopped, Mark pulling at the leash. "What?" "Monthly thing at Gordon's parents' place," she said. "Whole clan shows up, preen over their lies. We go in, tell the truth, watch 'em squirm. I've been banned since '09, but you're still fresh meat. They won't expect it." My pulse kicked up, a mix of nerves and something else. Excitement, maybe. "You think it'll work?" "Won't fix 'em," she said, "but it'll bury their lies." "You in?" I thought about it, Myra's tears, Zane's smirk, the way they'd laughed while I froze. Yeah, I was in. When? "Tomorrow night, 7. Dress nice, but not too nice. Bring that video." We finished the loop back to Leo's, Mark panting, happy between us. Cora drained her mug, handed it back. "See you then. Don't chicken out." She drove off and I stood there, the plan sinking in. Crashing their dinner wasn't just revenge, it was justice. A chance to shove their crap back in their faces. I went inside, texted Leo, "Big move tomorrow, need you there." He shot back, "Hell yeah, what's the play?" I filled him in, and he was all for it, promising to watch Mark and back me up if it got messy. The rest of the day I prepped, charged the old phone, made sure the video was clear, even dug out a decent shirt from Leo's closet. My hand shook a little, but it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline, the kind that comes when you're about to take a swing at something bigger than you. That night, I lay on the couch, Mark curled up close, the house quiet except for his breathing. I kept seeing Gordon's smug grin, Beth's scoff, Zane's beer raised like a toast to my misery, Myra's voice, easy to manage, looped in my head, but it didn't hurt as much now. It fueled me. Cora was right, they were a family of ghosts, haunting anyone dumb enough to trust them. I'd been that guy, but no more. Tomorrow we'd walk in, me and Cora, and rip the mask off. Not just for me, for her, for everyone they'd screwed over. I pictured it, the table full of their fake smiles, the food going cold as that video played, their excuses falling apart. It wouldn't change them, leeches don't grow hearts. But it would show them I wasn't their prey anymore. I scratched Mark's ears, his warmth steadying me. "We're gonna bury him, buddy," I muttered. He licked my hand, and I closed my eyes, the plan locked in. Tomorrow night, 7 sharp, no backing down. I spent the day before the dinner on edge, my stomach knotted tight but my mind sharp. Cora's plan, crashing the family dinner, was bold, maybe crazy, but it felt right. I'd had enough of Myra's clan hiding behind their smirks and lies, and this was my shot to call them out, loud and public. Leo was in too, promising to keep Mark safe and meet me after if things went south. I ironed the shirt I'd borrowed from him, a plain blue button-up, nothing fancy, and made sure the old phone was charged, that video ready to roll. Zane's voice, Myra's laugh, all caught clear as day. It wasn't just evidence, it was a weapon, and I was ready to use it. Cora pulled up at 6, her Subaru rattling like it might not make the trip. I climbed in, the phone in my pocket, my hands steady despite the buzz in my chest. She glanced at me, her eyes glinting. "You look like you're going to a funeral. Good. Let's bury him." We drove to Gordon's parents' place, a big old house on the edge of town, all brick and windows, the kind that screams money even if it's fake. Cars lined the drive, lights glowing inside, laughter spilling out. The whole crew was there, just like Cora said. We parked a block away, walked up slowly, her boots crunching on the gravel, my breath puffing in the cold. "Follow my lead," she said. "They'll try to shut us down fast. Don't let them." I nodded, my jaw tight. We didn't knock, just pushed the door open and stepped in. The room went dead quiet, forks hovering over plates, eyes swinging to us like we'd lit a fuse. Gordon stood first, his face red. Beth right behind him, her lips pursed. Zane smirked from the far end, beer in hand, but it faltered when he saw Cora. Myra was there too, mid-bite, her eyes wide, a napkin crumpled in her fist. "What the hell are you doing here?" Gordon barked, stepping forward. Cora grinned, sharp and fearless. "Came to say hi. Missed you too, Gordy." I didn't wait. I pulled out the phone, hit play, and turned the volume up. Zane's voice boomed out, "Freeze to death, useless idiot." Myra's laugh followed, bright and cruel, the high five crackling through the speaker. Heads turned, whispers starting. Gordon's parents, old and stern at the head of the table, frowned deep. I let it run, every second sinking in, then stopped it and held the phone up. "That's what you did," I said, my voice steady, loud enough for the whole room. "Locked me out in a blizzard. Laughed about it. Stole $9,000 from me too." Beth scoffed, loud and fake. "That's ridiculous." Cora cut her off, stepping forward. "Shut it, Beth. I've got my own story." "Gordon borrowed $5,000 from me in '07, business emergency," he said. "Never paid a dime back. Zane totaled my car, laughed in my face. You all blacklisted me when I wouldn't take it quiet." The room shifted, uncles, cousins, a few faces I didn't know, all looking uneasy now. Uncle Dean, a quiet guy with a beard, cleared his throat. "They did me too," he said slowly. "Promised me a cut of some deal, took my money, cut me out." Cousin Elise, young and nervous, piped up next. "Zane borrowed my rent cash last year. Said I'd get it back. Never did." It was like a dam breaking, stories spilling out, heads nodding, the perfect family picture cracking. Zane stood, his chair scraping loud. "This is—" His girlfriend, Kayla, grabbed his arm, her voice sharp. "Sit down, Zane. I'm done with this. I want to ride home with him." She pointed at me, her eyes hard. I blinked, surprised, but nodded. Myra snapped, stood up fast, her face red, and threw her phone at Gordon. It hit his chest, clattered to the floor. "I'm done," she yelled. "Done with you, done with this, I'm out." She stormed past me, didn't look back, the door slamming behind her. The room erupted, Gordon shouting, Beth crying, Zane swearing at Kayla, who just crossed her arms and stared him down. Cora leaned close, her voice low. "That's our cue. Let's go." We slipped out, the chaos behind us, Kayla following quick. Outside, the cold hit hard, but I felt lighter, like I dropped a load I'd been carrying too long. Kayla climbed into the Subaru with us, quiet but firm. "Thanks," she said. "Zane's been a jerk forever, just didn't see it till now." Cora drove, dropping her at a friend's place, then headed back to Leo's. "You good?" she asked me, her hands loose on the wheel. "Yeah," I said, meaning it. That felt right. She smirked. "Told you. They're exposed now, can't hide from that." We pulled up to Leo's, and he was waiting outside with Mark, a grin splitting his face. "Heard it went wild," he said, tossing Mark's leash to me. "Spill it." I did, every detail, from the silence when we walked in to Myra's explosion, Kayla's break. Leo laughed, clapping my shoulder. "You're a legend, man. They're done." I scratched Mark's ears, his tail thumping against my leg. The dinner replayed in my head, not just the yelling, but the shift, people speaking up, lies crumbling. Myra choosing herself wasn't my win, but it didn't matter. I'd chosen peace, and that was enough. Cora headed home, promising to call later, and I went inside with Leo and Mark. The old phone sat on the table, the video still there, but I didn't need it anymore. I'd said my piece, faced them down. The house was mine, the divorce was coming, and her family's grip was slipping. Not just on me, but on everyone they'd used. I sank onto the couch, Mark curling up beside me, and let out a long breath. Peace wasn't loud, it was this, quiet and steady, with my dog and my friend, and no more ghosts in the room. I woke up the next morning with a strange calm settling over me, like the storm, both the blizzard and the mess with Myra's family, had finally blown itself out. Mark was stretched across the couch, his head on my lap, snoring softly, and Leo's apartment felt more like home than my house ever had lately. The dinner crash with Cora still buzzed in my head. Zane's red face, Myra's phone hitting Gordon, Kayla walking out with us. It wasn't just chaos, it was a breaking point, and I'd come out the other side standing. I grabbed my coffee, the mug warm in my hands, and checked my phone. No texts from Myra, no begging or threats, just quiet. The divorce papers were with Jillian now, moving fast, uncontested. She'd texted yesterday, "It's done when you say." I'd say it soon, but today, I wanted something else. To take back my space, my life. Leo stumbled in, rubbing his eyes. "You're up early. What's the plan?" "Going to the house," I said, setting the mug down. "Time to fix it up, make it mine." He grinned, grabbing his keys. "I'm in. Let's paint over her crap." We loaded Mark into the truck, stopped at a hardware store for paint, bright white for the walls, a deep blue for the trim, and hauled it back to my place. The house looked different pulling up, less like a trap now, more like a blank slate. Inside, it still carried her marks, empty shelves, my recliner scratched from being shoved around. But that was changing today. We started in the living room, tarp down, rollers dipping into cans. The white went on smooth, covering the beige she'd picked, the color I'd never liked but never fought. Leo blasted music from his phone, some old rock tunes, and Mark trotted around, sniffing the cans like he was supervising. "You picking new furniture too?" Leo asked, brushing paint across a wall. "Yeah," I said, rolling over a corner. "Got my eye on a couch. Gray, comfy, no more of her stiff crap." He laughed. "Good. That old one was like sitting on a board." Hours passed, the room transforming, light bouncing off the fresh paint. I ordered the couch online, big, soft, something I'd actually want to crash on, and added a new coffee table, simple wood, nothing fancy. By afternoon, we hit the kitchen, blue trim popping against the white, and I felt the house shift, like it was breathing again. Mine in a way it hadn't been. Mark flopped on the floor, his tail wagging lazily, and I scratched his ears, paint speckling my hands. "You like it, bud?" He licked my wrist, and I took that as a yes. Later, I drove to the shelter, a spur-of-the-moment thing. Mark needed a friend, and I wanted another piece of this new start. The place smelled like wet fur and bleach, dogs barking from their kennels. A worker led me to Duke, a shaggy old mutt, gray around the muzzle, eyes soft and tired. "He's slow but sweet," she said. "Nobody's taken him yet." I crouched down, and he shuffled over, nudging my hand. That was it. He was mine. Back home, Mark sniffed him once, then licked his face, and Duke just flopped beside him, content. 2 dogs, my dogs, filling the space with something real. The next day, Cheryl, my old neighbor, stopped by. Gray hair, warm smile, a loaf of banana bread in her hands. "Heard you're back," she said, setting it on the counter. "Myra kept me away, you know. Said I was nosy." I nodded, cutting a slice. "She pushed a lot of people out." "Glad you're here." We talked over coffee, her stories about the street, my plans for the house. She didn't pry about the divorce, just listened, and it felt good. Normal, like I was part of something again. Leo swung by too, crashing on the new couch when it arrived, Duke and Mark piling on him like he was family. "This is it, man," he said, grinning. "Your spot now." Night fell, and I sat in my recliner, the room quiet except for the dogs breathing. The walls glowed white, The blue trim sharp, the shelves still empty but waiting for me to fill them. Not her, not us. Just me. I didn't miss Myra, not the real her anyway. I missed the idea of her, the wife I thought she was, soft and kind in those early days. But that wasn't real, and this was. My house, my dogs, my peace. I thought about the dinner, the way her family unraveled, Myra's break from them. It wasn't my victory, she'd chosen herself, not me, but I didn't need it to be. I'd chosen peace, and that was bigger. The paint smell lingered, fresh and clean, and I leaned back, Duke's head resting on my foot, Cheryl's bread half-eaten, Leo's laugh still echoing from earlier. I felt it, roots growing, slow but strong. Myra had taken a lot, money, years, my trust. But she couldn't take this. I'd built it back, piece by piece, and it was mine. The divorce would finalize soon, a signature away, but it already felt done. I didn't need her ghost here anymore. I got up, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and stepped onto the porch. The night was cold, stars sharp above, and I sipped slowly, the dogs following me out, their noses twitching in the air. No blizzard tonight, just quiet, the kind that settles in your bones and stays. I didn't have everything figured out, work, money, what came next, but I had enough. A house I liked, people who stuck around, 2 dogs who didn't care about my mistakes. That's what peace looked like, and I wasn't letting it go. I finished the beer, set the bottle down, and went back inside, Mark and Duke trailing me, their paws soft on the floor. The couch waited, the TV hummed when I flicked it on, and I sank in, the weight of the last week slipping off. This was my new paint, my new peace, and it fit me just right. I woke up a month to the day after that blizzard, the one that changed everything, with Mark and Duke sprawled across the bed, their warmth pinning me under the blankets. The house smelled like coffee. I'd set the pot to brew last night, and the morning light slipped through the curtains, soft and gold on the fresh white walls. It didn't feel like a year since I'd stood outside, locked out, snow up to my knees, Myra's laugh cutting through the cold. It felt like a lifetime, and I was glad for it. Today was different, though. Myra was coming by for her last box, the final thread of our old life snipped clean. I got up, the dogs grumbling as I shifted them, and pulled on a sweater, my boots scuffing the floor I'd scrubbed clean of her memory. The divorce was done, papers signed, no fight left in it. The house was mine, the paint new, the couch my own pick. I'd built something here, and she didn't fit anymore. At 10 sharp, her car rolled into the drive, a little hatchback I didn't recognize, not the SUV we'd shared. She stepped out, hair shorter, her coat loose, looking lighter somehow, like she'd shed something too. I opened the door, Mark and Duke sniffing the air behind me, and she gave a small wave. "Hey," she said, her voice quiet, no edge to it. "Hey," I said back, stepping aside. "Boxes in the hall." She nodded, walked in slowly, her eyes flicking around. The white walls, the blue trim, Duke's chew toys scattered by the couch. "Looks different," she said, not sad, just noting it. "Yeah, feels better." She grabbed the box, clothes, a few books, nothing I'd miss, and set it by her feet, then turned to me. "I've been in therapy," she said, unprompted. "It's helping. I get it now, what I did, why, I'm sorry. Not to fix us, just because I mean it." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her. Her face was open, no tears this time, no play for pity. "Good," I said, and I meant it too. "Glad you're figuring it out." She smiled, faint but real. "Me too. Take care, okay? You too." She picked up the box, headed out, and I didn't stop her. The door clicked shut, her car purred away, and that was it. The last of her, gone, quiet, and clean. I stood there a minute, Mark nudging my leg, Duke chewing his tail like nothing had happened. It didn't hurt, didn't sting. It just was, and I was okay with that. I forgave her, not for her but for me. Bridges burn once, and I wasn't rebuilding this one. I grabbed my coffee, still hot, and sank into the couch, the dogs piling on like they owned the place. Outside, snow started falling, light flakes dusting the yard, and I watched it through the window, warm inside, safe. Mark climbed into my lap, his big head heavy, and I scratched his ears, thinking back to that night a month ago. The cold, the lockout, Zane's voice, her laugh. It had broken me then, shattered the man I'd been, but it didn't just take a marriage. It took the guy who'd let it happen, the one who'd been too soft, stayed too quiet, and I didn't want him back. I sipped my coffee, the warmth spreading through me, and looked around. The house was mine now, recliner in its spot, shelves filling slowly with my books, my games, my life. Duke flopped beside me, his lazy grunt making me smile. Cheryl's banana bread sat on the counter from her last visit. Leo's dumb jokes still echoed from his crash here last weekend. This was what I'd built, not just walls, but a place that held me up. The snow kept falling, thicker now, blanketing the world outside, but it didn't touch me here. I flicked on the TV, some old movie playing low, and settled in, the dogs breathing steady against me. That night in the blizzard, I'd lost more than I'd known, trust, love, years. But I'd found something too. Me, the guy who walked away, who faced them down at that dinner, who painted over the past and made it his. Myra's apology didn't change that. It didn't need to. I checked my phone. Text from Leo, beer tonight? Cheryl, made cookies, dropping by. Simple stuff, real stuff. I typed back, yes to both, set it down and leaned back, the couch soft under me. The old me would have clung to Myra's sorry, tried to fix it. But this me? He let it go, let her go, and kept what mattered. The day stretched out easy. Coffee turned to lunch, a walk with the dogs through the snow, their paws kicking up flakes. I didn't think about her much after she left. Didn't need to. Therapy might have lightened her, but this, my house, my peace, lightened me. Night came, and Leo showed up with a six-pack, Cheryl with a tin of cookies, the dogs going nuts at the company. We sat around, laughing at nothing, the snow piling up outside, and it hit me. This was it. Not a finish line, but a start that kept going. The blizzard was a scar, sure, but it had healed into something stronger. I didn't miss the old me, didn't miss her. I had this, and it was enough. Leo clinked his bottle against mine, Cheryl fed Duke a crumb, and Mark snored loud on the rug. The TV flickered, the fire I'd lit crackled, and I watched the snow fall, safe inside. Never again, I thought. Not her, not them, not that version of me. I was here, warm, whole, and that's where I'd stay.